Hey friends, welcome to the channel today. I have a really interesting topic that I think affects a lot of us, and it is privacy on smart devices like your Alexa device, whatever smart home devices you might have, your smart TV, your car dash cam. What are they recording? What kind of information do they gather, and what do they do with it, and who owns it? And what you can do to protect yourself if some of your private information might be used in ways you wouldn't want it to. So let's get into it. So, have you ever wondered like what these devices are actually listening to? What happens to all the data that they are accumulating and gathering while they are just sitting there seemingly passive on your shelf or whatever? Um, your Alexa device or whatever other home device you have, it hears your commands. Your smart TV basically tracks what you watch, and even your car's dash cam might be recording more than you think. I have a car with an embedded dash cam in it, came with the car. And typically, like if the car's in an accident or something, it automatically records certain things and it may send it off to the manufacturer, whoever, so that they can find out what happened in the accident. So today we're talking about privacy in this age of smart devices. What's being recorded and who owns the data? And how can it be used for you or against you? Stick around at the end of this video. I'll let you know how you can take some steps that'll help you take control of your data and protect your privacy without having to give up all these cool devices that we have and we all make use of all the time in our homes and in our cars and even that we wear on our wrists. So in this first section, I'm going to talk about the invisible data trail. And I'm going to start with the basics of every smart device in your home or your car, or even the ones that you have in your pocket. Uh, every single one of them creates what's called a digital footprint. So basically, every command that you give, every setting on your devices, every voice clip or video feed, this is all data. And that data doesn't just, stay inside of your device. Your Alexa device or your Google Home device, any of those types of things, Siri that you have on Apple products, they send snippets of information of your voice to cloud servers so that they can engage in processing. Smart TVs are gathering and collecting data on what you watch, when you're watching it, uh, when you fast forward, how long you pause. These types of things are available, especially if you have like a DVR, digital video recorder, or one of those types of things. They often use that to gauge, things like how well a show is doing, who's watching them, what parts they're watching or not watching, fast forwarding through commercials, things like that. And connected cars often record GPS history, speed, sometimes in cabin conversations, things like that. Now, if you have a car that does record GPS and things like that with a dash cam or whatever, sometimes that can be a very helpful thing. I know a friend of mine who was in an accident um, when he was coming through an intersection exiting off the freeway and a car with one of these embedded cameras crashed into him. And he was kind of so shaken he wasn't sure whose fault it was. But once that video camera footage was made available, it was found that the guy uh, actually slammed into my friend and it was the other person's fault. The point being that some of that can be helpful to us. And manufacturers often tell us that that's to improve the customer user experience. And often that's true. But the problem is who else gets access to that information? And that's really kind of the crux of our video here today. We need to look into that. That leads us into the next section of what we're talking about. Who owns the data that's inside of your devices? So, and this is where it kind of gets really interesting because if you go to the store or you order something online, one of these devices, a smartwatch, a home device like an Alexa or something along those lines, you feel like, and your thoughts are, well, this is my dash cam. This is my Alexa device. I purchased it. I bought it. So all of the data belongs to me. but legally it's not that simple. Under most of the terms of service, now, oftentimes when we buy a device or we do something like that, or we start an account on something, whatever, to be able to access these devices using our phones and our voices and such like that, there are user agreements that you have to go through, and most of us will just kind of get on there and we'll scroll through page after page to get past all the agreements and just so we can click agree and move on, and we don't read through those things as carefully as perhaps we ought to. So, I mean, obviously, the first step is to make sure that when you're going through those user agreements, you be careful and you look through them and see what your rights are in terms of your privacy. Because in most of these agreements, you're simply licensing the technology, but the company often retains the rights to the data it collects while you're using it. So that basically means that the manufacturers of these devices or these cars with these abilities on them, uh, they might store your recordings indefinitely. They might use them to train AI algorithms. They might share them in anonymous form or even sometimes in not anonymous form. In fact, there are some of these devices that keep your recordings even after you've deleted your account. And that all depends on how the privacy policy is written. So again, what's the key takeaway in this section? Well, it is to just carefully read through these terms of service and the privacy settings, and make sure your privacy settings are set to, the setting that you want it to be to guard your privacy. Some people are a little bit freer about that, and it might say something like, we'd like your permission to use your data to send to our, servers to improve your service or whatever. And some people feel like that they'd like to do that. And that's fine too. Just read through them carefully instead of just scrolling through them. So, what's the problem? What's the harm with all of this? One might ask at this point. So, we have to talk real life about this and just give a few examples of some things that have happened when somebody has been using one of these devices. For example, there have already been cases where smart speakers, like an Alexa device or something like that, accidentally have recorded private conversations and then send them to random contacts. That's not good. Or the police obtained a smart home or a doorbell camera data without a warrant. That happens as well. Car telematics data. Telematics is basically like the black box of your car that records sudden speed ups, sudden slow downs, things like that. And, you know, law enforcement or accident reconstruction people or whoever can download that information and find out what happened if you actually used your brakes, if you were wearing your seatbelt, what speeds you were going, and these types of things. Car telematics data was used in an accident investigation in a civil lawsuit. That happens quite a bit. In fact, I've been involved in some cases where I have requested car telematics data so that my expert can take a look at it and see what actually happened in an accident. And of course, there are always the bad guys lurking about. That is to say, the hackers. And that's a risk that we all face at all times, no matter what we do or how careful we are. And this can involve things like data breaches that expose voice recordings or video clips, personal behavior patterns, these types of things. And stay to the end, I'll have a link to my video that I posted recently regarding how to outsmart the AI uh, scammers, the spam texting, and the robocalls. In fact, even with the devices in your house that you might use, sometimes people have thought things like, why do I keep getting ads about things that I only talked about out loud or something like that? Well, it's because sometimes, these things are recording information and they send them off to sellers and things. And you'll find perhaps in your Facebook page or wherever else that you are online, and you'll see something pop up that is something that you were just talking with somebody else about earlier, and you thought, well, why would they know about this? All of these systems are specifically and intentionally designed to learn from what they hear and they see. So this is not to make us all paranoid about these kinds of things. This is about awareness, right? I mean, these systems are powerful tools and they can be a lot of help at times. But they can be double-edged, and that's what we need to be careful of. So let's take a look for a moment at the benefits. What are the benefits of some of these systems that we have in place? It is certainly true that these smart devices definitely make life easier. They make it safer, sometimes even healthier. Here's a quick example. I live in a two-story house. The bedroom where we sleep at night is upstairs. Now, when this house was built in the late 90s, the thermostat was downstairs. But now we have a thermostat that is hooked up to online, and I have a smart home device in my room. And instead of getting up in the middle of the night when I'm hot or cold or whatever and having to go downstairs and adjust the thermostat, I can just talk to my device and it does all that for me and sets the temperature to where I like it. So that's a great thing. You can use these things to check the weather. There's just a million different uses for these things where they are certainly very helpful. They make life easier in some respects. We can tell these things to call police or to call a friend or whatever else. And sometimes, for example, watches, they can notify people if you fall down, they can sense that. And so these are all good things. And there are, smart watches and wristbands that you can get that can track your uh, heart rate and other types of things and can alert you when there's a problem. So certainly I'm not anti-tech at all. In fact, I tend to like to view myself as an early adopter of some of these things because they can really bring some benefit into our lives. And car dash cams can be used to protect uh, drivers from people who might be trying to set up an accident or something to collect insurance money. And I know that that has happened. So the goal here isn't to just ditch the tech, the smart tech, it's to use it wisely. I mean, you can think of it like credit cards, right? I mean, they're super useful, they're super convenient, but they're only safe if you understand how they work and where your information goes. So let's take a look at some ways that some easy steps you can take to protect yourself and your privacy without having to go live off the grid somewhere. So a good first step is to go into each of your devices or apps that have a setting regarding these privacy issues. Disable things like voice history or personalization or ad tracking. These things are all set up to gather data even when you don't know it and gather information about you so that uh, sellers and things like that can find ways to market things to you like what we were talking about earlier. The next thing you can do is go into your smart devices that you have around, delete old recordings. Many of these smart devices allow you to delete voice or video history. Um, and you can set reminders on some of these things to do it monthly. And many of these have a mute setting or something you can slide over the camera or whatever else just to keep your privacy if you don't want people being able to see inside your home. Or you can turn off the microphone, as I said, and keep it from recording things. So Alexa and Google Home and other devices have buttons, so you can use those buttons when they're not in use. Another little more advanced step would be to have separate networks. In other words, you can put your smart devices on a guest Wi-Fi network, so they're isolated from sensitive data on your main computer system. And then if you have a car that records data like that, modern cars often upload driving data to the cloud. So you can review your car's connected services policy. And you can find a way to opt out if you want to in most of these. So, what's the legal landscape looking like nowadays for these types of things? The law is slowly catching up to the new realities that we're living with all of these smart devices. And there's not right just yet any single comprehensive federal privacy law. But some of the states are starting to look into this and to adopt things. For example, the state where I live, it's kind of been a leader in this, and it has a Consumer Privacy Act, and there's a Privacy Rights Act that are now in place that govern a lot of these things. So check with your state or wherever it is that you live. If you're in Canada, maybe there's those types of things there as well that you can look into, and see what the law is and how it will support you in guarding your privacy. And in the state where I live, these acts that I told you about, I mean, they basically uh, give consumers the right to know what data companies are collecting, and to delete personal data upon request, and to opt out of data sales. So for now, as more states catch up and the federal government catches up on some of these things, guarding your privacy, it really kind of falls on all of us to be vigilant about it and to make sure that we're taking steps like some of the ones I've outlined just to protect ourselves. So wrapping up on this topic, the more connected our lives become with these devices, the more important it is for us to stay informed. I mean, smart technology like these things, it's here to stay. It's never going to go away. But smart users know how to keep control of their own data. So the next time your home device lights up when you use the command word, or your car starts recording, or your smart T recommends a TV show for you or something like that, just remember you're part of the conversation, even if you didn't say a word. So there you have it, just a brief kind of introduction to what we face now living in the smart device era. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend who has a smart device, which is basically everyone these days. Maybe it'll be helpful to them as well. Um, and if you'd like more videos about how the law intersects with everyday life, subscribe to my channel, Legally Speaking with Peter. And feel free to leave a comment. You know, if there's some legal topic or something like that that you'd like me to address on here and we can tackle it together, let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. And I'd love to see if perhaps I can get your issue in one of the videos here. Thank you so much for watching. And you can find the other video I was telling you about where I talked about AI scams and spam texts and robocalls. It'll show up on the screen.